I'm just gonna turn the light on so we don't all fall asleep. Okay, so let's go through page by page. So people here in front of me. Was there anything from the first page you would like to go over? 1 through 11?
Yeah.
What number?
6.
6. Do you have one?
5.
6, 5. Anyone at home, first page. So far we have 5 and 6. Okay, so I'm going to start those. If at home you have one, just feel free to throw it in the chat. So 5 and 6 are similar, right? Well, they're a little bit different because one you're solving for x, one you're solving for y. So if you start a problem, and it looks like, ooh, that's a comma, that's kind of an awkward comma. You need to know, like, what the heck do I do with this information? And we are going to put it into the slope formula. So please make sure you know that formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 equals m. Okay, so I have this nice little equation set up. Super excited. At this point, I always like to kind of rewrite it and combine these two terms. So I'm going to rewrite it as negative 8 over x minus 8 equals 8 over 3. Someone talking? Someone's mic's on at home, just so you know. Please make sure you know how to solve this. This is called a proportion. We solve a proportion by cross multiplying. So when I cross multiply, I get negative 24 equals, please make sure when you cross this way, 8 times x minus 8, that goes in parentheses because you're multiplying the whole thing. And then you just have a few steps to get to solve for x. What's that give me? 40, yeah, 40 equals 8x, so x would equal 5. And then you'd be done. So it's all about just knowing that you're plugging it into the slope formula and then being okay with simplifying and solving. So 6 is very similar. Sorry, I'm just trying to see my board. Okay, I'm going to try to squish it here for the people at home. I feel like erasing everything. So very similar problem. Just the one thing that messes people up on this is the negative, so I'll show you why. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, double negative would give me plus 6, equals negative 1/9. I'm just going to rewrite that as y minus 9 over 9 equals negative 1/9.
I have
So-
a question.
Yes.
How did you get the negative 1? Or like, how did you get the 1? Oh, no, never mind. Keep going.
Okay. You sure?
Well, how did you get the negative?
Where's there the negative 1?
It
This?
says equals negative 1/9 in the actual equation that you get.
That's a slope.
That's the slope.
Oh,
That was the slope that was given to us.
no, up there it just looks positive.
Yeah, that's
Like, I'm not seeing the negative.
It's right here.
Yeah, I can't see that from back here.
Oh. You're more than welcome to move on up if you need to. Okay, so now I'm going to cross multiply. So here's what happens sometimes with these problems. You cross like this, and you kind of, like, the negative gets kind of lost. Because, you have to, like, cover it with a proportion or your x or whatever. What I do is I always take this negative, and I put it with, just pick one of the one, I always tend to put it with it's just the numerator. But you put it with one of the numbers. Do not put it with both, because 2 negatives make a positive. But you also can't just lose it. So it has to be somewhere. So when I cross multiply this, I get 9 times y minus 9 equals, and when I do that, I'll get negative 9. So you could have done it with that one. Whatever works for you works for me. You just got to put it somewhere. And do not give it to both things. That's a big thing. So then we distribute. Sorry, I'm kind of getting squished down here, but you get the idea. So 9y equals 72. So if I divided y would equal 8. It's beautiful.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
yes.
Okay, yeah. So when we go over them, if you didn't get it, just make sure you try to see where you went wrong so you don't make the same mistake. Anything else from the first page? Okay. Second page, we have some writing equations, we have some rearranging. Was there anything on the second page that people would like to go over?
15.
15, so we got 15, anyone at home? It's 50, oh, good, I wanted to go over a standard form, so thank you for asking me one. Move over this way a little bit, and let's aggressively keep going to that side. Okay. So see that, yeah. So number 15, you have 2 points. And it says right in good old standard form. So just as a reminder, you're going into tomorrow, and you start your assessment, and you're like, oh crap, I'm stuck. Like, I don't know what to do. I forget. If that's like the mindset you're in, just remind yourself. Put it in another form. So I'm a big point slope form fan because I think it's easy because you just kind of throw the stuff in, and then you rearrange it because you can't put things in standard form. So there you go. I'm going to find the slope first. So we always need to start with slope. Just be careful with your signs. That gives me -2/1, which is just a slope of -2. And then I'm going to use point slope. I think I use it with this point. I thought, oh, that point might be a little bit easier. It doesn't really matter. Use it with either. Happy for you. Okay. So I end up with y plus 4 equals -2x. I don't need to write plus 0. So I'm just going to kind of keep it because -2 times 0 is just 0. And then I just move stuff around. I want x and y together, so I'm going to move the x over here. I want the constant on the other side, so I'll move the 4 over here. And I end up with 2x plus y equals -4. Everything's in the correct order. X, y equals constant. All my rules are being followed, so the first term is positive. There's no fractions or decimals, so you're just done with that one. That'll be your answer to 15. So once again, there's not like an abundance of standard form problems. I tried to make it so each type of problem had the same number. So I think there's 2 point slope, 2 slope intercept, 2 standard, and then a vertical horizontal. And basically, it's kind of split up. Anything else from the second page? Third page, other than me totally making a mistake on one of those graphs. There technically are no graphs tomorrow, but it's good to know how to graph, just as a heads up. Is there anything from the third page people would like to go over? Oh, 24. So I see. Yep.
And I was just confused on like the last section.
That 26 to 31?
Yeah.
Okay. Go over the basics of that. So we had a quick question on 24. That one is a little bit tricky. Because you want to get y by itself, right? So, and this could be for anything. I could just say rearrange it, and this might happen as well. You move the x. I always like y equals mx plus b when I'm graphing. I always find it's kind of not bad to rearrange. We can get things where we need it. So I think what happens is like you have a fraction in front of a y, and that's kind of weird. So if you're ever getting rid of a fraction, you can do kind of 2 things. You can just multiply this by 2 to get rid of the fraction, or you can multiply just by the reciprocal, and that will kind of get rid of everything, so you won't need 2 steps. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. Same sign, but the reciprocal. The reason being is because that would be cancel, and that would cancel, and then you would just end up with 1y. The thing is, since I multiplied this side times -2/5, this entire side has to get multiplied by -2/5. So I feel like maybe you might have just multiplied one of them or just multiplied by 2. Would that mess you up? But just make sure if you do it to that, you have to do it to the entire side. And that will give me -2/5 x plus 2. And then just a quick graph from there. Down 2 to the right 5. You got your nice line. Also, like if you just saw a fraction at the beginning and said, I wanna get rid of it, you could just multiply everything by 2 and get rid of the fraction, and then kind of just deal with it from there. Sometimes fractions can just be like kind of a pain, so. Always feel free, if you have an equation, you can multiply by that common denominator to just get rid of it. So, important pieces that you need to know for that bottom section. You need to know a horizontal line has a slope of 0 and an equation of y equals a number. That's just something you need to know. That's not something that like magically is going to go in your brain. You might need to study it. A vertical line has a slope that's undefined, and the equation is x equals a number. So this is literally all you do. The nice thing is there's not a lot of work involved. The bad thing is if you don't know it, then you're kind of in a bad spot. So all you do for that bottom section is 26. You say, oh, slope of 0. It's a horizontal line. So then you just remind yourself it's y equals, and then you just take the y from that point. So that would, for 26, it would be y equals -3. You're done. So there's actually no work. 27, you would say, oh, slope is undefined. That's a vertical line. So the equation is x equals, and I just get my x from the point x equals 4. So it's really just like, if you know this basic information, when you get to those horizontal vertical ones, they're kind of quick. For 30 and 31, you'd have to find the slope. 30 comes out to a slope of 0, so that was y equals, and 31 comes out to a slope of undefined. So just as a heads up, that is important. I would know that. All right. Whew. All right, fourth page. We need 33. There was a question on. 4, 6, 7, 8, anything else from page 4?
No.
Yes, sir.
I took them in my notebook, I don't know if this is actually on the page, but it's 41.
41. Yep, I got you. I'll do 41 in a second. Did you have one you needed to?
39.
39. Okay, perfect. What was it? Fine. Looking back at their comments, looking at your comments. Trying to kind of go through these so we can do another problem at the end. Number 33, we had a question from home. So what do you do when you say, if it asks for a parallel or perpendicular slope, you have to know the slope of that. And to know the slope of that, I just rearrange it. So I'm a big, if I'm rearranging and need a slope, I try to rearrange to slope intercept form. So I try to get this y by itself. So if I move this over, I get y equals -3x plus 5. And I'm just focusing on the slope of this. The slope of this is -3. So when it says, what's the parallel slope? It's the same thing. So the parallel slope is -3 and you're done. So you just need to know that they're the same. But once again, you don't necessarily know it just by looking at it originally, so you might have to rearrange a little. What did you say, 39, Jim?
Yeah.
Kind of same thing. Once again, those fractions always make us angry. If the fractions freak you out, get rid of them. Multiply everything by the common denominator, because then you're just left with y plus 1 equals -4x. I'm going to just get it into y equals mx plus b form. And now I see where my slope is. My slope is -4. So once again, feel free to multiply by the common denominator, get rid of those fractions. This is a perpendicular. So it's the opposite sign, so this will be positive. Reciprocal will be 1/4.
Nice.
All right. Yep.
Will you mark us wrong if you're gonna do that?
No. Yeah, you don't need to do the symbol. I just do the symbol just for my brain. Nope. If you like circle something, I'll be like, oh, that's the right answer. Just make sure I know what you're answering. That's fine. And then 41. Here's a good one. That's kind of bringing a few things together. We have a point. We know it's parallel to an equation. And we want it in slope intercept. This is kind of like what your problems look like tomorrow. It'll give you information, it will tell you what form to put it in, you kind of just put everything together. So the point's the point. When I say parallel, I find the slope of this. So I can see it right here. I don't care about any of this other information. So the parallel slope, or you can just write M, is the same as that. So the slope I'm using is 4/3. Delightful. I have the point 2,3. Slope intercept is y equals mx plus b. I'm a big point slope form fan since I have point slope. So I'm just gonna plug in what I know into point slope. And then I'm just gonna rearrange it to get y by itself. If you're doing a different method, that's fine, but make sure your answers look the same. Oh, that's gonna be a fraction, right? So that will give me 8/3. And then I'll add 3. Remember, when you're adding fractions, you would just find a common denominator. So you would do negative 8/3 plus 3/1, find a common denominator. I believe it comes up to 1/3. I'll try not to kill you with fractions, but there might be, a little bit on there, just to warn you. All right, any questions on the last page? I know someone said 46.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
45.
45. Okay, we'll just go over the last section. Anything prior to that last section of 45 to 48?
48.
Okay, last section thing. Anyone else? Anyone at home? Okay, so the last section, if you have to be on your game for that one, guys. Sorry, I'm like, because I want to do one problem at the end. So the last section, this is what you should be doing. You get to 45, but once again, these are just going to be kind of mixed in. It tells me a point that it's going through, and it tells me it's perpendicular to another line. So right off the bat, you need to recognize, when you look at this equation, you should be saying in your head, this is a horizontal line. How do you know that? Because you've studied it and you know what the equation of a horizontal line is. It's y equals a number. So think about a horizontal line. Perpendicular is vertical. So those are always perpendicular of each other. If you have one, you have one. So when I say perpendicular is going to be a vertical line. Okay, that's exciting. If it had said parallel, it would have been another horizontal. So you just need to know, vertical line, the equation is x equals, and you take the x from right there and you're done. So it's funny because these ones actually have the least amount of work, but they mess people up the most. Because once again, if you just don't know them, then it kind of kills you. So once again, it's all about kind of labeling and reminding yourself about horizontal, vertical. Yep.
So like for that one, changing it to -1/12.
No, because technically, that's not the slope. The slope is 0. Okay. So if you think about a slope of 0, think of 0/1, and you flip that, perpendicular is 1/0, which is undefined, which is why it's vertical. So it would only work if there was an x with there, then that would be mx, but that's just the intercept. So it's a little funky. So 46, same idea. It's just about labeling. Okay, so what I would do is, this is what I do in my brain. I go to here and I remind myself, this is a vertical line, and I know that because I know what the equation of a vertical line looks like. It says parallel. Parallel is also going to be a vertical line, right? Because parallel just means they have the same slope, they're both undefined. So a vertical line through this point would be x equals, and you just take the x from your point. So again, a lot of labeling or, just doing it in your head. You need to know those x equals and y equals. Let me just finish the last two. Why not? We're here. We might as well finish it up. Okay, so at 47, I would say, ooh, y equals, that's horizontal. The parallel would be the same slope, so this is also horizontal. I would know that the equation is y equals, and I take the y from right there. And then the last one's kind of the same. It does say perpendicular for that one, so just make sure you know horizontal and vertical are perpendicular of each other. So last but not least, sorry, I'm just trying to write everything. Okay, so you would label, oh, vertical. You would say, oh, perpendicular to vertical. So horizontal and vertical are always perpendicular to each other, is horizontal. And the equation of a horizontal is y equals, you take your y from right there. And you're done.
Are you going to put any of those on the test tomorrow?
Maybe. It's like a fun surprise. You don't even know what I'm going to put on you. Oh my God. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was like a marathon of problems.
Hmm?
Okay. I just ran a marathon. Instead, I did math.
It's definitely different.
Huh?
It's definitely
Same thing. It's the same thing. 26.2. Okay. So I wanted to make sure you guys have worked on those. There's no point in doing something if you don't know if they're right or not. So hopefully you looked, you asked any questions. That answer key is still on, and it will be on Google Classroom, so feel free to look at it later. And I did show my work, so I tried to do my best. Yes. So there's one problem I want to do is kind of a wrap up, just to make sure you've seen everything that you need to see. Tommy, as of right now, there's 8 questions. And it might change a little bit because I still need to edit it a little, but it's not super long. At most 10. So let me just find. Sorry, I'm actually looking at my quiz right now. Right, well, in a moment. I knew where it was. Give me 1 second. I want to see if there's any funky ones. I'll do one. Oh, that one's good. Ooh.
Are we doing Pacific?
No, we're doing another problem. We'll do Pacific next week. It's just I want to get through this test.
Do we need our notebook?
Say that.
I do. I haven't even been here. Like, I haven't even seen you guys. I'm pretty sure the last time I saw cohort B was before vacation. Because remember, last week you were remote. The week before, that Friday the Thursday I wasn't, but the Friday I was here, but like 90% of the school was
Yeah, I showed up.
I showed up.
Yeah, there was like 2 or 3 people. The week before that I was out, the week before that was vacation, the week before that we were remote, and the week before that we were remote. So I actually haven't seen cohort B, all of you, in person since the middle of December. So please don't even go there with me, alright?
She told you.
Yeah. Don't ever argue with a math teacher, because we got logic on our side, alright?
Logic, math logic. I'm not sure about conversation.
Well, logic is math-based. It's all like the way you use your brain.
But
It is.
I mean, I'm not using PEMDAS when I'm debating against.
No, but using logic is a mathematical skill. It is.
Before multiplication.
Alright, sorry, people are arguing with me. Alright, let's do one more wrap-up problem. Hey guys, what if I said I want an equation and we'll do slope-intercept. Slope-intercept form. It has the same x-intercept as 2x plus 3y equals -6. And it's perpendicular to 5x minus y, sorry, this takes a lot of thought for me, equals 10.
Oh, you have Google.
I'm just making it up. It's not coming from anywhere, it's coming from the brain. So this is kind of what the problems will look like tomorrow. There'll be the form that you need it in, so just pay attention to that because I do expect it to be in the correct form. And then there'll be some information. So in this case, it's telling me it has the same x-intercept, that's gonna give me a point. And perpendicular means it's talking about the slope, and then we can use that info to write our thing. So how do I find the x-intercept of something? Yeah.
You make y 0.
Can I answer?
Oh, sure, go for it.
You cover the y and divide 2 by negative x.
Perfect.
It is.
So anytime you're looking for an x-intercept, you plug in a 0 for y, or you cover the y and you solve for x. So in this case, if I plug in a 0 for y, I'm left with 2x equals -6. The x-intercept, remember, it's a point. Don't just write x equals, that doesn't mean anything. X equals is actually a vertical line. It's the point -3, 0. Okay, so that's our x-intercept. It's the same thing. Just make sure you know how to find it. And then I say it's perpendicular to this line. So I need to find the slope of this line so that I can know the perpendicular slope. So you might have to move stuff around in order to do that. I'm gonna subtract 5x, -y equals -5x plus 10. You would have to divide by -1 to get rid of that negative sign. And y comes out to 5x minus 1. The only thing I actually care about though is the slope of this. So remember, once I find m, I don't actually care about this other stuff. I even just cross it off. If I say my slope is perpendicular to this, what is my slope?
-1/5.
-1/5. So you need to know that perpendicular is opposite reciprocal. You have to change the sign, flip the fraction. All right, so we have these two pieces of info. I want it in slope intercept, but since I have a point in the slope, I'm gonna do point slope and rearrange it. If you're doing it a different way, go for it. Just make sure you get the same answer. So I put it in point slope, and I say, oh, well, that's just a 0 anyways. I can distribute in. And I'm done. So a lot of times the actual getting the equation is kind of the easy part. The harder part here was getting the information so we could get the equation. Yep.
This doesn't really have to do with the answer, but how would it be 5x minus 1?
I don't care about the -1.
Oh, okay.
I don't even care about it. All I'm getting from this equation is the slope, because when it says perpendicular, I just focus on the slope, so it doesn't even matter. Yep.
What's the other form called?
Standard form or point slope form.
Oh, yeah.
So know them, love them.
Why no standard? I know slope intercept.
Yeah. So just as a hint of what tomorrow will look like, it will tell you the form. So please pay attention. Once again, I think there's 2 point slope, 2 slope intercept, 2 standard, and then a vertical horizontal deal. So that ends up being 8. I might go back and edit it a little, so it might change a little bit, but. Then you'll be given some information. Some are easier than others. Some I might just give you a point in the slope and you're good. Some you might have to do a little bit of work to kind of get there, Can't make it too easy for you. You will find it, you will show your work. Hopefully